This is the Unemployed and Successful podcast where I'm showing you exactly what to do to build a personal brand so strong you never have to work for anybody ever again. I'm your host, Lissa Scott, personal branding queen, American vagabond, artist, dreamer, designer, and visionary. If you're wanting your life to be your prayer and you know that you're here to do more than just pay bills and die, you found yourself to the right spot. Let's rip on life, baby. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Unemployed and Successful Show. I have no idea what episode we're on. I have no idea what this is from. It's like, I don't know, it'll probably go away as I'm talking. My nails match my pants today. I would like to make that known, and I just got done snowboarding. So that's why I look like this. This week, I got on my story and I was like, I am so tired of people only showing up when they look beautiful and pretty and awesome, and I'm gonna start showing up even if my hair is in the rat's nest, even if I don't have my makeup done, even if I was sweaty because I'm an active girly. Like, this just is what it is, you know? So today, this is a highly requested episode. 15 or 20 of you wanted me to do this episode, so I guess I'm doing it. It is an episode about everything that I started doing the first few times that I was making 5 to 10K months online, and all of the things that I still consistently do to make over 10K online every single month. And there's been a few months where I haven't done these things, and no coincidence, in the following months, those were the months that I wasn't making the money. So what I'm about to give you is highly effective. It does require some skill. It does require some practice. So please don't do it for 3 days and then be like, Lissa, it didn't work. Test it for 90 days. Take action, take data, make iterations, right? So that's what my friend Matthew always says. It is one of those things that you're going to need enough time under tension with to determine, is this working? So that's your warning. Okay? First things first, I want to talk about the price of the services that I was selling. I think you can't really talk about sales without talking about both units and price per unit. So the first packages that I was selling, I believe, were like between $300 and $500 a month as a nutrition and fitness coach. I think my whole program was originally $3,000 for 6 months. And that felt like an approachable place to start. I was writing people's macros custom in their workouts from scratch every single week, catered to the individual, practicing on progressive overload and focusing on reverse dieting. So those were my first offers in the online world. I was consistently posting and I was consistently talking about my coaching. I was not consistently making great money. I then had a coach who was like, yo, you need to sell a $5,000 program. And I was like, word, what do I do that's worth $5,000? And it turned into lifestyle, fitness, habits, nutrition, intentions. And the person who I was most concerned with targeting was one that in their head and in their heart, they wanted to go from a C+ to an A+. They were like a good athlete. They had good habits already. They really wanted to take it to that next level. And what we were doing together was closing the gap and figuring out, where are you at? Where do you want to go? How do we close the gap? And that was the whole thing, right? Now, this happened as it was late 2019, early 2020. And by the end of 2020, all of my clients were business coaching clients. Mid 2020, I had about $60,000 of clients in the nutrition and fitness and habits and intentions offer. That was when Maximum Potency was born, was when we added the habits and the intentions, and people loved it, dude. They were paying $5,000. They were working with me for 6 months. It was awesome. They were getting a one-on-one call every week, and I started to be able to crack, a $10K month pretty easily because I was selling a $5K product. So it's just under $1,000 a client per month. So you have about 10 of them and you're there. It's like not crazy. It is much easier to hit a 10K month when you're not going for volume, you're going for depth. So having a product that easily stacks up to 10K, just because I signed a 5K client doesn't mean I collected 5K, right? They were on payment plans of monthly. So that 5K was their total investment for the 6 months and it would be paid out. what I realized is like, oh, that's just, like I said, just under $1,000 a month per client. And I can then stack the revenue. And it was honestly better for me that way than getting this huge pop of cash and then having a lull. So that went on. I raised my program price from $5K to $6,800 to $7,200 to $10K over the years. And that was from 2020 to 2024. And $6,800 was by far my favorite price point in there. Here's why. I was able to offer a hybrid of group and one-on-one. And I was able to pinpoint that it was pretty easy to 10x your investment. So to make $60,000 a year as an online coach was super doable from 2020 to 2024. And so I was like, guys, I can't guarantee this, but it's highly likely that you're going to 10x your investment in this program if you just do what the program says. That program was a group program that was a year long, and it included a funnel. And what I realized is people were very overpaying 10 grand for shit. And I was like, let's just do 6,800, include the funnel. And so it was like 5K of coaching and like 1,800 of web design was how I was doing it. What I realized was that it increased trust when I paired a service with coaching. And then 2024, I went full blown into service provision. And I was like, here's the concrete thing that we are going to build together. We are going to build something that you can look at and go, that's done. So I'm going to build you a website. You can't really graduate that coaching program and be like, I didn't get a website. You got the website. It's right there, right? Same thing with brand kits. Brand kits for 2K. You either have a brand or you don't. It's either finished or it's not. It's black and white work. You're not selling air. And so I really felt like there was this distrust in the coaching industry in 2023 and 2024 where everybody and their brother became a coach and people like didn't want to buy it anymore. Now, that could have been just my personal conviction on really, I felt like God wanted me to go back into art, marketing, strategy, something more tangible. And I was also getting emotionally really burnt out at that time. I called off my engagement, but one of the core pieces of conflict in that relationship was I didn't have emotional bandwidth left over at the end of the day. I think that I can do about 4 or 5 hours of emotionally driven conversation a day before I'm fried. And I had a deeply emotional partner at the time. And so it was like one of these things where I would get done, I would have given all of that energy to my clients, and he would be like, why don't you want to go deep with me or talk? And I'm like, I have nothing left. So it was a culmination of the industry changing, my personal life, and then my personal convictions and just like my path. I am not saying you can't sell coaching. What I am saying is if I had to give you advice, it would be add a tangible something to your coaching. So I also sold a $10,000 package that included a retreat to Costa Rica for 6 days, lodging and food provided. They would pay for their own travel. It was like something tangible. Like I got coaching and a retreat, or I got coaching and a website, or I got coaching and a website and a retreat, right? It was really, really awesome to be able to provide something where I was like, you for sure got the value. Like you learned, I held space. We like sorted through your own mental and emotional stuff. We changed behaviors. We built something. You got an ROI and you got a trip. Like it was rad. And I felt really confident in my product suite. So all of that to say, as you hear me talk about this stuff, I would have something that's at least $1,000 total investment, up to $5,000 that you can crank on repeat, because most times those clients are going to ask for a payment plan, which is fine. But if you're trying to make a 10K plus month out of little teeny tiny incremental invoices, it's going to be harder to do it. So you can play the volume game if you want to. You can go mid or low ticket with mid or low touch, or you can have some high ticket and some low ticket. So the way I like to think of my pie, right? I'm going to picture like a pie chart. Maybe I'll make one and put it on the screen. Okay, you have a pie, and it used to be 50% one-on-one clients and 50% group clients. Revenue, that is. I was getting about half of my revenue from having a few one-on-ones, about half of my revenue from having my group. That was awesome. I could upsell, I could downsell. On those sales calls, I was always selling something because there was kind of something for everybody, right? Then I had my freelance business start in 2024 officially. Okay, I actually started freelancing when I was in college. I used to shoot people's weddings, and then did that all the way till I was like 24. So freelance was like contract 50% upfront, 50% on the back end is pretty typical for freelancers. And I was like, I can do this. I shot weddings. So I started doing the brand in a day, the website in a weekend, the content road trips, and all of those were on installments. Brand in a day is $2K, content capsule is $3K, website in a weekend is usually $4 or $5K, and then the content road trips are anywhere from $6 to $12K. And having half my work come from those and half my work come from retainers was something that I did throughout 2024 until I started working with Rob Bailey, and then I closed my books. He was my only client for a year, and now it's now, right? And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna do a little bit different this time. So what are we doing? Announcement time. Hi, I didn't know I was gonna put this in here, but whatever. We are doing 50% freelance and now 50% software. So I am developing, honing, and learning a software that I'm going to run on behalf of my clients that is designed to bring more organic traffic to your profile. All of this, I'm going to do another episode on that, but all of this hinges on the fact that you're solid in your voice. You know who you are and what you do. You know who you're talking to. You have a solid content strategy. And then my work can kind of come in and elevate you. We can either get you even stronger visually. We can get you stronger either visually. We can get you stronger conceptually and strategically. Like, who are you talking to? How are you saying things? We can strengthen your digital infrastructure. So like your landing pages, your funnels, all of that kind of stuff. Or we can come in and just bring you more eyeballs. And it's cool because people a lot of times are like, I just need more eyes on my stuff and then I know it'll do well. And they get more eyeballs and they realize, oh, my messaging isn't clear, or my content strategy is not good, or my website's really confusing. And then we can go revisit the other side of things. So that's my flywheel right now. It's rooted in service provision with a teeny tiny bit of coaching. But what I like about it is I'm selling the result of a finished content strategy, a finished website, a finished funnel, the traffic to your profile. I'm not selling coaching. I just think it's a hard sell. You have to sell the result. It's not like, oh my God, you get to work with me, you get to hang out, right? It used to be like that. It's not like that anymore. So needed to paint that picture of much needed context before we go into everything I was doing to make money online. Let's talk about what I was selling, what was on the shelf. So you can kind of call that the inventory. Part 1 of this episode. Part 2, what was my daily routine like when I started making consistent money online? This is where it gets really, really good. The first year that I started making my 8 to 15K months, I had no schedule. I said yes to everything. I was burning the candle at both ends. I burnt my adrenals out. Like literally you could see it on my labs that this was not going to work for me. Spoiler alert, we changed that, and this is the part that I want to talk about. I'm not even going to give you the recipe to burnout other than to say, if you want to say yes to everything, you will eventually hit burnout, and then you'll have to take time where you say no to everything because you can't say yes to anything. So just don't do what I did. Let's talk about what actually works. First things first, show up as a content creator. You have to act like your content creation is as important as your favorite influencer. It is not something you do for fun. It is something you do for business. And if it's a priority for you to keep your business, it will be a priority for you to make your content. Simple as that. I don't care if you do it weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly. I don't care. Some of the things that have worked for me really well. Quarterly photo shoot where I do a media grab, so I have a bank of stock images. Quarterly media grab from dupephotos.com right here. Free iPhone footage. It is a footage and photos. It is a communal site, meaning please contribute if you're going to use it. Okay, everything's royalty free on there. You don't have to give credit. You cannot just rip photos from Pinterest, put them in your commercial marketing, and make money off of this. By the way, just in case someone told you that, use a site like dupephotos or unsplash.com. Get images from there. Okay, so your own media grab, stock photo media grab, and then each week and each month you're probably still gonna have to film stuff. But I like to have that arsenal built up. This is how the Rip on Life road trip was born. Is like if you come home from a road trip and you have 500 images and a bunch of video footage, it's much easier to create each week because you're not just staring at a blinking cursor on a Google Doc. Okay, so weekly, I like to actually assemble my content, and then monthly or quarterly, I like to have a bigger media grab where I just boost up that library of resources. So 5 times a week, showing up on social media, using different parts of your content funnel to get people from cold to warm to buyers, okay? If you don't know how to do that, that is a sign that we need to work together. I'm not gonna break down the entire warming up process here. I'm gonna say you need to be posting different types of content, connection content, teaching content, selling content. There needs to be a variety. There needs to be a strategy. Inside of my offer content capsule, this is exactly what we do is we start to understand, do we need more faces? Do we need more trust? Or do we need more conversion? We're gonna post accordingly based on where they are in the buying cycle. We're gonna either raise problem awareness, raise solution awareness, or raise offer awareness, okay? So having your content follow an arc, knowing why you're posting what you're posting consistently, infusing that strategy with your voice, your topics. What is your heart set? What is your mindset? What are your 3 zones of genius? Put them into buckets and then do the different types of formats. You're also going to split test 7 to 15 second reels, 30-second reels, 90-second reels, face to camera reels, faceless reels, B-roll with text overlay reels, carousels, visual lists, cinematic edits, UGC edits are a little bit more chaotic. You're going to see what does the market want? What is it like? What are you good at? What comes naturally to you? From that, your content strategy is going to be born. You're going to use that consistently for at least 90 days before you change it, okay? Rock and roll. All right, so you have content consistently going out. That's humming along. It's strategic. People are ending up in your DMs. You have a story strategy as well. I was showing up on my Instagram stories 5 days a week. It wasn't always Monday through Friday. Sometimes I would take a day off in the middle of the week and then do Saturday. Sunday, I try really hard not to be on social media, not to answer text messages, I really try and unplug because that's the same rejuvenation that's going to allow me to go through the following week and not just feel super burnt out. So anyway, creating from this place of strategy consistently on stories and on your feed. That's second thing. So we have a rock solid offer. We have a variety of price points. Then we have consistency on the feed and on the story. And then here's where it gets really, really juicy. So the third thing I was doing outbound DMs. And a lot of you are like, I would never. If you're not going to do outbound DMs, you need to run ads. You need to pay for traffic in some way. Or you're telling me I don't want to grow my business that bad. Simple as that. I don't care if you do outbound or not, but you have to get your page in front of your people somehow. So my favorite way to do that is a killer outbound strategy. So I will go and I will message accounts that I know are my ideal clients. In my case, it is coaches, healers, musicians, artists, teachers, course creators, anyone serving the world. They're service providers, freelancers, web designers, all that. Okay. So finding my ideal client on Instagram and messaging them. Now, I'm not going to message them and be like, hey, you should buy my shit, which is what I see people do. And then, of course, the reaction's terrible. Like when someone slides into your DMs like, I could get you 100 followers this week. You down? You're like, ew, I'm not going to respond. However, you need to go into this with the intention to make their day, not sell them. Don't talk to anybody you're not genuinely interested in getting to know. I go into my DMs and I start striking up conversation with business owners that I respect, would like to be friends with, and think that we might be able to mutually serve one another. If I don't think that, I don't message them. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to say something like complimentary, something that I like. It is not going to be generic. It's not going to be like, hey, I really love your snapback in this one picture. Even if I do, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say something like, I love your vibe. You look like you'd be my friend in real life. Your page is editorial. You're crushing it. Like, I like this about your content. I like that you talked about this specific thing. The key here, it needs to be personal enough that it doesn't look like a copy and paste message, and it shouldn't be. But it needs to be impersonal enough that you can do it in 1 minute. If you are taking longer than 1 minute on outbound cold DMs, you're wasting your time. Most people are not going to respond. I have about a 30% response rate on cold outreach, which is kind of insane. I've heard numbers as low as 2 to 10% for that, but I take the time to personalize a little bit and then I get a higher response rate. So from that first response, I am then going into one question. I'm never going to ask a question in the first message. That's one of the things that raises the suspicion of like, are you trying to sell me? So like when someone's like, hey, Lissa, found your page. Are you taking one-on-one clients? I'm not answering that DM. I know what you're doing. When someone says, hey, Liz, this really resonated with me, you're acting like a real human. So in the first day of DMing them, my goal is to make contact. In the second day of DMing them, I'm going to ask them 1 to 2 questions. And my goal is just to let them know that I'm there to support them. I'm going to come across very, very human. So I'm going to go in, be like, hey, I love this. Your page looks really editorial. Keep crushing. Girl's going to respond. She's going to be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, your vibe is also rad. I checked out your page. Like, awesome. By the way, where are you based? Service level question. Oh, I'm based in here. I've traveled a lot, so this is a great question for me to ask because I've probably been to the place that they're from. Be like, oh my gosh, I was there and blah, 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 and this is what I did. And like, have you ever heard of this coffee shop? I love when I can do that so much. They're going to come back. They're probably going to ask where I'm from. I'm going to be like, Montana, the land of huckleberries and grizzly bears. Have you ever been? Right? I'm talking like a normal person. And then I'm going to end the conversation. And this might seem counterintuitive because you're like, Lissa, don't you want to get to the part of the conversation where you guys can like talk about business? It's like, no, I want to make friends first. So I'm going to be like, well, anyway, girl, like it's great connecting. I'm in your corner. And I really am. Okay. I'm not just saying this. I'm here to cheer you on. Like all day. I want to be a girl's girl on this platform. Okay. So a few days later, I am going to go back to their page and I'm going to be like, hey, by the way, I meant to ask you the other day, what is it that you do with people? What is your zone of genius? What are you excited about right now in your business? I'm going to ask them something that gets them to open up a little bit more. And now we're talking about their niche, their offer, their client, their work. As they're answering, it's pretty common for them to be like, just curious, like, why are you asking this? But like, they're still going to be pretty friendly about it. I'm like, hey, I have a podcast. Sometimes I have guests on. I help people get more eyeballs. Not sure if that's something you ever need. I also do design work, but mostly I'm just here to connect and I'm just going to keep the conversation going. I am listening for, does this person sound like my ideal client? Is she talking like my ideal client? Is she showing up like my ideal client? If she is, I'm going to say something like, hey, looking at your page, voice note. By the way, that's what this is sign language for voice note. Hey, I was looking at your page. I'm not sure if you have ever considered X, but I would love to talk about what's working for me and my friends. That's the pitch. Oh my gosh, that would be so helpful. Cool, let's do virtual coffee. Just booked a call. I was always come in super smooth, soft, not salesy, feminine hosting energy. Like, hey, what do you do? What are you working on? I would love, if I have insight, can I share that with you? If I don't, you're not my ideal client. Not everybody's going to get on a call, right? So I would start pitching virtual coffee or pitching a jam session, pitching something that's not called a consultation. Okay, consultation is Latin for I'm going to take your money. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so having them get on a call really casual, and I am watching like a hawk how they show up to that call. Are they present? Are they distracted? How seriously do they take their business? How seriously do they take themselves? How long have they been in business? What level of business are they at, and what level are they growing to? And in that, I am listening. Is this someone I even want to help? I'm not going to pitch everybody I get on a call with. Some of them I'm going to give free advice. Some of them I'm going to send a podcast episode. Some of them I'm going to show them a freebie. Some of them I'm going to say, I would love to serve you. Would you be open to talking about what that would look like next week? Then I'm going to book the sales call. So doing a 2-call close, right? Like understanding, hey, I need to get to know this person. Stop pitching without consent. Stop pitching without context. Like that's why your DMs feel disgusting. If you would just talk to people like a human being, you'd be good. So I send between 30 and 50 outbound DMs a day, Monday through Friday, in the months that I do the most business. Okay? I'm not saying it has to be every day. If it takes me longer than an hour in the morning to answer my blue dots, which I tend to do while I'm walking and voice note them, that's a sign to me that I don't really need to do more outbound that day. I already have an hour worth of conversations going. If I wake up in the morning and I only have 10 dots, it's time to send 50 messages. I need to throw some gasoline on that fire. This also changes in proportion to how many spots I have open. So in the beginning, you're going to want to send 50 DMs a day, but Instagram's not going to let you. It's going to let you send 30. And those 30 you're going to send in 2 sittings, 15 and 15. Then a couple days later, 20 and 20. Then a couple days later, 25 and 25. And you can build up to that 50 done in 2 sittings each day. If you don't want to do that, pay to run ads. That's what you're paying for, okay? But you're going to have to figure out what ads do well. You're going to have to figure out what people say yes to. You're going to have to figure a lot of shit out, how to manage ads, the ad spend, all this stuff. It is well worth it to spend the time under tension in the DMs with your ideal client and figure out what they actually respond to, need, want, desire, okay? Study the crap out of your person. This is best done manually at first. So that's why I say to start here. So you start doing the outbound DMs consistently. You're posting consistently every single day. Did I start 30 conversations? Did I post on the platform? If I didn't, I'm not done working for the day, period. Like, there better be a reason. You better have taken like 6 sales calls that day, because that's the bread and butter of what makes an online business go. So, again, if you don't want to do it, you're not that serious. That's perfectly fine. But don't tell me that you're going to be the next Tony Robbins. Like, I can't with people. Okay, end rant. Second thing that you can be doing to make this a little bit easier is you can have a post go viral. That will also work. Highly unpredictable, highly volatile. The 30 DMs, you either did them or you didn't. And that's what I love about it. The post, you can't control what it does, really, right? You only have a little bit of control over that. Running ads, $5 a day, follower ads, get people to your profile. If people get to your profile and they're not following, there's a reason. You got to go back to the content strategy. You got to go back to the content itself. What does it look like? You've got to improve these things so that your people know you when they see you. To have a stronger signal, stronger magnetism in your world, stronger credibility, better speaking, better content, right? So it goes back to that organic. If it doesn't perform organically, it's probably not going to perform in an ad, just so you guys know, okay? So that's the second rung of outreach, we'll say. The third rung is the software that I have. It's going to bring new faces to your profile every single day. It is going to send an auto greeting when you get a new follower. And that auto greeting, we're going to be strategic about it. Mine says, yo, welcome to the Maximum Potency fam. Are you here to build a brand? Or are you just here for the vibes? Gives them an out, gives them an in. If they're here to build a brand, I want to know what kind, and I want to send them a freebie ASAP, okay? The only message that's automated there is the first one, and it doesn't have that stupid ManyChat look where it's in the gray and black box. It is a purple message. It looks like I sent it. I send up to 30 of those a day. And then there's also things that we can do with your close friends list and using that to sell, using that for higher visibility, getting a lot more story views, because a lot of people, they are selling on their story, they are posting consistently, and it's just not getting out. So one of the things I'm really passionate about is getting small and mid-sized creators seen and bringing them the volume that they deserve, right? It's much cheaper than ads. It's about $300 to $500 a month, depending on which package we do. And you don't have to manage ads or make ads ever. So those are kind of the 3 lines of defense: is outbound, ads, engagement software. And without those 3 things, I'm not in the volume of conversations that I need. I'm not on the volume of sales calls that I need, and I'm not having the volume of closing that I need. Now, the last thing I want to address today is the strength of your selling skills. When you get someone on the phone, how present are you? How inquisitive are you? How good can you ask a question? Do you sound like a robot? Do you look like you're reading a script? Because you shouldn't be. You should be having an adult human conversation. People are craving that. If you can make them feel seen and heard and loved, you are already winning on that call. Then when you pitch the sales call at the end, hey, I love that you share this with me. Based on this, I think I have a lot of insight about X. Would you want to meet next week to discuss that? I would love to show you what I would do to solve your bottleneck of blank area that you support people in, right? And then how strong is your pitch really? Like, do you have a guarantee? Do you reduce time delay? Do you have killer support? Like, my friends have 50 hours of client calls a month with their community. Like, do you have something that's going to blow their socks off? Or you have like a pretty okay offer? Because that could be why it's not selling too. So it goes back to offer and organic content. And then if those 2 things are solid, the outreach, the ads, the software, they all multiply the result, right? So that is what I was doing. That's literally it. I am going to break down my story strategy on the next episode. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about the software on the next episode too. But we are on founding members, and I'm super excited. We have 4 more spots at the founding members pricing before we bump the price. So that $300 to $500 is going to look more like $500. If you want to hear about that, get in a DM conversation with me, and I promise I'll treat you like a real human. I love you guys. Go do this. Go cash some checks, and I'll see you next week, okay?